Do you ever wonder why it sometimes feels like you get in your own way? Why you procrastinate or self-sabotage, or simply can't seem to act in accordance with your true desires? Maybe you make it your New Year's resolution every year to exercise 3 times a week, but you can't seem to be consistent for more than a few weeks in the beginning of the year. Maybe you promise to start looking for a new job that pays better, but anytime you have a spare moment, you just find yourself scrolling on Instagram. It feels extremely difficult to muster the courage, motivation, and discipline to change your behavior. Well, let me fill you in on something. The reason for that is your limiting beliefs. Having limiting beliefs is like driving with the brakes on. You aspire to take a different course, but it feels like something is always holding you back. From a very young age, we begin to develop beliefs about ourselves, others, and the world around us. They become the lens through which we experience life and see the world. Negative beliefs lead to negative thoughts and behaviors that hold us back in life, even if they may be untrue. They prevent us from living to our full potential and prevent us from leading a happy and fulfilling life. Here are some common examples of limiting beliefs. I'm unlovable. I'm stupid. There's something wrong with me. I don't have what it takes. I'm worthless. The world is unsafe. Success is impossible. For the longest time, I had a deeply entrenched fear of being seen. Growing up, I hated being called on in class. I despised having to go up to the front of the class to deliver a presentation. And eventually, when I started to work, I would generally keep to myself. I wouldn't speak up in meetings, and I thought it was best to just keep my head down and try not to be too visible. This obviously had many negative ramifications in my life. Up until quite recently, I would even panic anytime I posted anything on social media for fear of what people might think of me. My limiting belief was that it was unsafe for me to be seen. When I eventually left my corporate job to pursue spiritual entrepreneurship, I realized what a huge block this was for me. I had to start teaching classes to large groups of people in person. I had to start marketing my business and offerings online. I realized that this was something I had to finally overcome. So where do these beliefs even come from, and why are they so often contrary to our true desires? Well, these beliefs are programmed into our subconscious mind from a very young age. And this is a very important concept to understand. We have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Let's use the analogy of an iceberg from the founder of psychoanalysis, Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud said that our conscious mind is the tip of the iceberg, what is visible to us, and what is within our conscious awareness. The conscious mind makes rational and logical decisions. It's growth-oriented and desires change. The conscious mind encompasses all of the mental processes that we may be experiencing at any given moment. So, say for instance, you feel hunger. The conscious mind has the thought and executes the action to eat. The subconscious mind, on the other hand, is everything that sits below the waterline, that's invisible to our eye and invisible to our conscious awareness. The subconscious mind includes all of the feelings, memories, instincts, and urges that we are not entirely aware of. The subconscious mind stores everything we've literally ever experienced and is focused on our survival and maintaining its understanding of who we are and the world around us. That's why it's so difficult to execute on behavior change, because the subconscious mind wants us to stay the same. If we want to change our life, we have to start with the limiting beliefs within our subconscious mind. Carl Jung puts this very aptly when he says, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." So how exactly is the subconscious mind programmed? The subconscious mind is programmed before we even come out of the womb. We inherit the programming and conditioning of our ancestors through genetic programming. We experience programming in the womb and from our mother's emotions when we're in the womb. So from ages 0 to 7, we start to receive a lot of information that is imprinted into our subconscious mind. So this especially comes from our parents and from our families, the way that we're raised, from our society and community, from our school and our teachers, and even from what we watch on TV and in movies. Relating back to my fear of being seen, growing up in inner city Philadelphia, I was bullied incessantly in school. Being seen meant that I would be taunted and picked on. It meant even experiencing physical abuse. I developed from a very young age that being seen was inherently unsafe. And my parents, who were also new immigrants to the country, taught me and my sisters that it was best to just put our heads down, work hard, and try not to take up too much space. We were new to this country, and as outsiders, it was best for us to just stay on the sidelines. This was a belief that was taught to me through traumatic experiences and also modeled to me through my parents. In general, there are 3 ways in which we play out our limiting beliefs in our lives. So say for instance you have a limiting belief that you're simply not good enough. The first way in which you might exhibit this belief is you'll act it out. So you'll say, see, I'm not good enough. You won't try to apply for a new job or do something outside of your comfort zone or maybe take that exercise class. You'll want to confirm the existence and truth of this belief in the way that you live your life. The second way in which you might express this belief is you'll try to rebel against it. So you'll say, actually, I am good enough. You'll do everything to try to prove that it's not true. So you'll overcompensate. You might be an overachiever or work yourself to the extreme and experience burnout simply because you want to deny the existence of this belief within you. The third way in which we express our limiting beliefs is we'll project it onto other people. So we'll say, see, they're not good enough, simply because we have this belief within us. Alright, so at this point in the video, you might be asking, how in the world do I change my beliefs? Let's get into it. The first step is to bring awareness to your subconscious limiting beliefs, to shed light on the unconscious. So I'm going to leave some journal prompts on this side of the screen. I recommend taking some time to yourself, sitting in a quiet place, and taking your time to respond to these prompts. They may be triggering, they may bring up some discomfort or unwelcome emotions, but this is the first step to the healing process. When we activate these limiting beliefs, we bring them up to our conscious mind in order to release and to heal them. So feel free to pause this video or come back to this timestamp to respond to these journal prompts. The second step to tackling our limiting beliefs is actually through conscious repetition. We learned our limiting beliefs through repeated experiences in our lives. So the way to undo that is to introduce the inverse of these beliefs in consistent, repetitive behavior. In my case, I was deeply terrified of being seen, so I had to challenge myself to start being seen. One way I did this was just diving in and teaching my first breathwork class. I remember during my first class, I was terrified, I was sweating, I was stumbling over my words, but I had to peel the band-aid off and just get into it. Once I recognized that it was okay for me to start being seen, that it was safe, priming my mind and my nervous system to do something that was entirely out of my comfort zone, I started to actually believe this, and each progressive class that I taught felt more and more natural and comfortable. The next step is to reprogram your subconscious mind. There are a multitude of ways to reprogram our subconscious mind. One way is through hypnosis, EFT, breath work, deep states of meditation, psychedelic medicine. There are countless ways, and I won't get into all of them, but I'll give an example from my own life. I relied heavily on breath work to actually transform my limiting beliefs. Breath work allowed me to enter into a state of altered consciousness where my subconscious mind was open and malleable. I worked with a facilitator to explore why I felt so afraid being seen. We went back into my childhood memories of being bullied, where it was deeply unsafe and deeply threatening to be seen. And I actually was able to resolve those core memories and unwind the energy and emotions related to those memories. And that involved deep grief, deep sadness, deep fear coming up for me to experience those emotions and to release them. And once I did, I felt so much safer in my body. I felt so much safer allowing myself to be seen and now recording videos online. And lastly, it's really important to replace the limiting beliefs we have with positive and affirming beliefs. I love the practice of affirmation work. Affirmations are positive, affirming beliefs that we can employ in our lives to counteract the negativity of the limiting beliefs we might carry. So with affirmations, it's really important to make them repetitive, introduce them into your daily life, and what's more is to actually feel the emotion around what you're saying. A famous monk, yogi, and guru from India, Yogananda, said that words saturated with sincerity, conviction, faith, and intuition are like highly explosive vibration bombs which set off, shatter the rocks of difficulties, and create the change desired. So the next time you feel that resistance to changing something about yourself or your life, just know that it's not entirely your fault and that you have all of the agency to change this by working with your limiting beliefs and your subconscious mind. From my heart, I hope this video was helpful and that you learned something. As always, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.